Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. It's Carolyn. Today's discussion is going to be a little bit heavier than my other videos here on the channel. If this is not something that you are interested in and you would rather see something that's a little bit more lighthearted, you can check out my other videos. I'll have them linked in the cards above. I do pick a pile readings, collective readings, and other educational videos to help you out wherever you are in your spiritual journeys. I've been wanting to talk about religion or spirituality, whatever you want to call it, and the negative side to it when it goes too far, when it becomes too extreme. And this is something that's been on my mind for a while now. We've seen it in the spiritual community, people misrepresenting what spirituality is. And I've also seen a similar pattern throughout many different religions with many different people, and especially seeing this Franke situation with 8 passengers. A lot of people on YouTube have talked about it a lot more in depth than I can. And so if you haven't heard about it or you want to hear more information on it, there's tons of YouTubers who have covered what's actually been going on with it. But I think something that a lot of people can agree on is that when Jodi entered the picture, things became a lot more extreme. And it seems from what I've heard of it, what I've understood of everything going on, obviously I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but what I've seen is that religion became very extreme and weaponized to almost feed into a narcissistic pattern. And so I want to talk about religion or spirituality. It doesn't matter what religion it is or what you identify as or whatever your beliefs are, but the extreme sides to these thought patterns and how they can be negative. Like I said, this is either for like you and making sure that you don't become indoctrined into negative beliefs, but also if there are people in your life, this can help you assess if they're using their religion as a weapon. Because a lot of times people don't want to call out religion. They don't want to call out people who are being these pillars of inspiration because of the negative connotations with it. Because now you're not going against this person, but you're going against this belief system. There's a bunch of people that you're fighting against. And I don't think that's always the case. I think there's people, especially a lot of narcissists, who will hide behind this. And it doesn't have to be as extreme as narcissists. We all have tendencies where we can manipulate, we can be negative, we can be bad people. And so it doesn't mean that you have to be a narcissist to be bad or do something that is bad. And so I want to bring this to your attention so that you have these tools to navigate within your own life and you can use them however you want. So I first want to reiterate the fact that I'm using the word religion, but that is not necessarily what it is. It doesn't have to be a specific religion. It's just your spiritual beliefs. A lot of times the main pattern I've been seeing nowadays is there's some sort of creator or powerful energy going on behind the scenes that controls a lot of our day-to-day lives. And so while I'm using the word religion, feel free to replace it with whatever you believe, because this is not just for one belief system. This is something I found within every single religious system. There's extremes to everything. And so this is helping you navigate your life no matter what religion you're surrounded by. The way I always describe it is that it's the same words, different font. A lot of the religions can be boiled down to the same concepts, the same similar structures, just with a different way of going about it. And so something that is so important for you to understand, either within your own religion or with the religious people around you, is that not everyone is a good person, and good people can have manipulative sides to them. And so just because someone is religious, that's not an inherent pass for them to be a good person. I feel like sometimes people put religion or spiritual beliefs on a pedestal, and you either believe that you're superior to others, or you will feel that these people in your life are superior to you in some sort of way. And what this creates is a very toxic power imbalance, because it makes it where you or the people that you're dealing with feel like there's little consequences to their actions. And when you feel like there's not consequences to your actions, you start to behave differently than others, and this makes it where you're not treating others with basic human rights. You're not treating them with respect, with decency. And so you start to create this dynamic, whether you're aware of it or not. And something that a lot of people also ignore is that they believe the best in these religious people in their life, and therefore there's this power dynamic where they trust this person, they think they're such a good person, that it makes it where you're not aware to the fact that you can weaponize it, or it can be weaponized against you. And when you're not aware of the possibility of something, it makes you form this sense of arrogance, whether it's intentional or not, and that is what can make you a victim, where people can weaponize things against you, or you can start to use this against others and not even realize it. Because when we become arrogant, we become blind to evaluating ourselves, analyzing ourselves, and seeing what we are doing that is not healthy, not good, not beneficial to us. If you believe that you're above these things, if you put yourself on a pedestal and say, I'm too smart, I'm too good, I'm too kind, this could never happen to me, that makes it where you are not actually analyzing yourself and evaluating your relationship with others, with how you're interacting with them, with the things that you're doing, with the things that you're saying. And so it creates this room for you to become very extreme with whatever your beliefs are and not even realize it, especially if you surround yourself by people who are afraid to speak up or people who don't know how to say the right things to you. If you build this level of arrogance and ego within yourself, it makes it where you are not actually able to hold yourself accountable. And I think that's why specifically in the spiritual community, because it's not defined as a religion, there's a lot of people who have put themselves on a pedestal thinking that they know more than others, thinking that they are better than people in other religions because they have the true answers. And that's why we see this pipeline where a lot of people end up falling victim to other cult-like mindsets, because it's a different system, but it's still an indoctrined way of believing that you are better than other people. Everyone has different belief systems, and there's no way to disprove fundamentally which one is right and which one is wrong. Everyone has their own beliefs, and that's why it's your belief system. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when there's a dynamic where you put yourself on a pedestal, you make yourself feel superior, and therefore you do not protect yourself because you feel like you're inherently better than others. And that's always room for extremist dynamics to breed, and it's always room for things to become extremely toxic because you're building and cultivating your own power and balance with others. You're not respecting them, you're not giving them decency, you're not willing to understand people. And so when you shut off that door of communication, of understanding, it puts yourself in an echo chamber in which you're surrounded by people who are either afraid to speak up to you and call you out on things, or they believe the same things that you do, and it's kind of like funneling that tunnel vision for yourself. And so the first thing when it comes to your belief system is making sure that you are keeping yourself accountable for questioning why you believe what you believe, and making sure you're not surrounding yourself by people who also feel superior. You need to create this own dynamic in your life where you're not allowing yourself to step onto this pedestal. Everyone has a different belief system. No one knows that they're right or they're wrong. And so when you put yourself on this pedestal thinking you're better than others, you're feeding an ideology that you cannot prove. And your identity is becoming connected to something that is not a part of you. I think it's very scary when people take an aspect of their life, whether it's a hobby or religion or whatever it is, and you become addicted to it where it becomes your personality because you're building an unhealthy attachment with it. It's okay for your religion to be a big part of your identity, but it should not consume you. It should not become unhealthy, because even if it's good for you, too much of a good thing is still bad. And again, going back to this pedestal, when you put yourself on this level where you feel like you cannot be affected by these negative traits, you make yourself arrogant and you feed your ego where you will never keep yourself in check. You will never actually hold yourself accountable to reflect on your actions and change them if you're behaving in a way that's not beneficial to the highest good of yourself. Because there's temporary satisfaction and then there's long-term satisfaction. And I think with religion, it becomes very easy to fall into this superior savior complex where you think you're better than others simply because you believe something that they don't. And it creates this very toxic dynamic. And that's why it's important when it comes to your beliefs that you are constantly checking in with yourself about why you believe things. Surround yourself by people who don't necessarily believe the same things as you. There's no harm in having discussions about things to understand why you believe it, because when it comes to religion, that's your belief system. If you don't know why you believe it, it's not the right one for you, because you should not believe something just because you're told to. Religion, spirituality, it's called a belief system for a reason. It's not called someone told you to believe this so now you do. That's not what it's called, because it has to come from within. Your religion, spirituality should never be because of people on the outside. It should be with you and your relationship to whatever you believe in, whether that's God, whether it's a creator, whether it's different gods and goddesses and you believe in multiple. It's up to you and your own belief system. And so if you don't know your why for what you believe, if that's not being challenged, and if you can't explain it to yourself, then it's okay to not know what you believe in. But don't force yourself to believe in something without understanding the why. I think that's where a lot of extremist people go wrong, is that you're believing these things, you're reiterating them because you're told to, because it's what everyone expects from you. But when you get to yourself, a lot of the things contradict themselves. But then there is the other end of extremists where they believe in things very confidently, but that's because of their superior complex. They feel that they are better than others. And so when it comes to your religion, another thing that's going to keep you in check is understanding the moment that you think that your religion gives you an excuse to act like a bad person to other people or to hurt them in some way just because you you are better than them, that is the wrong religion for you, or you're not even religious because you're not practicing it correctly. Because I don't know what religion in the world is telling you to hurt people because you're better than them, because I've not heard of one that actually genuinely tells people to do that. I think everyone can agree that religion, spirituality, when it comes down to it, tells you to treat people with love and compassion. You can disagree, you can pray for them, you can send healings to them, you can love people and not love what they're doing. You can love people and say, I wish that you change and I wish that you get better. But it seems when people become extremists with what they believe, they step into that pedestal and they think the spotlight is shining on them, and they think they have a right to dictate things for other people in a way where they're going out of their bubble. Religion, your spiritual beliefs are for yourself. They're what you believe for yourself. You can want them for your loved ones. You can want them for the world. It doesn't give you the right to push that onto the world. And I think that's something that a lot of people are starting to forget, is that your beliefs are for you. What you believe is for you. And if others don't believe it, that's on them. It's their journey. They can figure it out. You don't need to force them to believe what you want. If you took religion out of it and you replaced it with favorite colors, if your favorite color is blue and you're pushing that onto the world, that everyone else has to love that color, has to be their favorite color, and they have to wear it every day, people would think that you're weird. People would say that you're not knowing your place, you're not minding your business, and you need to stop. You need to respect your boundaries. But somehow with religion, because it's more important or because there's a deeper connection there, people think that it gives them a free pass to voice it and to be very loud and open with it. And then other people feel that they can't speak up because it is someone's religion. And that's how people weaponize it. There's extremists who take these very bizarre points and they run with it and they try and spew it out to the masses. But if you actually pulled it back to its core, replace it with different words, you would see how weaponizing it truly is. And so that's something that I think as a culture we need to get more familiar with, is just because it is religion doesn't mean that we can't call people out for it, doesn't mean that we can't acknowledge an aspect of it that is negative, that has turned toxic, because people will use it to weaponize things and to hide behind almost as a shield. And so it stems from this lack of accountability because people feel that they can't call it out. And so that's where you have to really analyze what is truly going on and take it out of religion and replace it with some other metaphor, something that fits that same structure, in order to see, okay, is this just something I'm uncomfortable with, or are they actually doing something that's not right? So some things that you can do in your own life to make sure that you're not weaponizing religion against others is check in with yourself, understanding why you believe what you believe, making sure that it's coming from a good place, making sure that you're not wishing anything bad onto others, and that your beliefs are something that influences you, but you're not projecting onto others in a way where you're causing discomfort into their life. It's okay to share your beliefs with others. It's okay to let them know what you think and what you feel about things. Especially when asked. If someone asks you about things, it's perfectly fine to tell them. It's when it's unwarranted, or when you're aggressive, when you're mean, when you're spreading your religion, your views from a place of not love, not compassion, not empathy, but coming from a place because the other person is wrong, because you need to save them. You're putting yourself on this pedestal. The same way, if you're dealing with someone who's weaponizing religion against you, they're going to put themselves on this pedestal to convince you that you need to listen to them, that they are the best authority, that they want what's best for you because, look, I'm so religious, or look, we share these beliefs, I have the best intentions for you. Just because someone is religious does not mean that they can't be bad. Especially nowadays, a lot of people know they can hide behind religion. And so I think just as a culture, we need to be more aware that the ego feeds off that pedestal. The ego feeds off that arrogance. The ego feeds off the ignorance of thinking that it couldn't happen to you, that you're better than that. Because when you are not acknowledging things, it makes you vulnerable to them. It's like, go back to people in combat. If you're too arrogant to think that someone's going to attack you because you're the strongest, because you're the toughest, because you're the fastest, it leaves you vulnerable when people can actually come up behind you and attack you. Versus if you're alert, you're aware, you're checking in with yourself, you're checking in with your surroundings, if someone's coming at you, you can protect yourself from them. Arrogance and confidence are very different things. Confidence is saying, I know what my weaknesses are and I'm aware of them so that I can check in on them and make sure that my weaknesses are still strong and I'm protected. Arrogance is saying, I don't have any weaknesses. And so when it comes to religion, I think as a culture, we need to be more aware of the downsides of it, the pitfalls of it, and not just people who are atheist or agnostic. But I feel like a lot of times when people talk about the downsides of religion, they're coming at it from an outsider's point of view. And I think we need to listen to the self-awareness that we need to have while having our beliefs and calling ourselves out for things, holding ourselves accountable to make sure that we're not hurting others. Because there's nothing wrong with having different beliefs. But there is something wrong when you are not allowing the room to have that discussion. And I feel like a lot of times it's like if we discuss it, then you don't truly believe what you believe and you're bad and you're doing religion wrong or you're believing in things wrong, when that's not the case. The same way that, let's say that you were dating someone that your family didn't approve of, you can discuss to them why they think that way, and you can discuss why they're wrong, and you could reach that middle ground. That's what these discussions are. It's about explaining your side and trying to convince others of it in a healthy way, in a way that's going to hopefully lead to a beneficial outcome. Not in a way where you're fighting with them. Fighting and talking are two different things. And so this is just me trying to open up the discussion about religion when it becomes extreme and some ways that we can keep it in check. Because I think if we as a collective try and get rid of this pedestal feeling and superiority complex when it comes to religion and our beliefs, that would help level the playing field for everyone, where we would be more comfortable talking about it. Because then it's talking about like what you ate for dinner or what you did the other day. You know, it becomes less of something that's like so like precious, which religion can be precious for you. But I think talking about it in general as a collective should not be this hush-hush thing where if you say something against it, you're against the entire religion or you're against like this entire group of people. It becomes very personal for people when I think we need to have more healthy, objective conversations about it. And so I know this video was a little bit of me like rambling some of my thoughts on religion, but ultimately it all comes down to the ego and the need to be on a pedestal to others. And so I hope this video helped you in some way identify certain aspects of your life that you need to change in order to be a better person and remove your ego from the equation. Or I hope that I was able to help you identify some people in your life who are weaponizing religion against you, so that you have the tools to combat it, that you have the ability to set healthy boundaries for you, because now you were able to see what the problem truly is. Because when people are weaponizing things against you, it's not your job to fix them, but it is your job to protect yourself. And so that could be different for some of you. Some of you that is talking to the people in your life who are weaponizing it. Some of you that is cutting them out. Some of you that is no longer talking about religion with them. And if they talk about religion with you, then you excuse yourself or you make them leave if they're in your house. But setting that boundary where you're not crossing the lines because you're not going to see eye to eye on it. There's multiple ways that you can protect yourself when you are dealing with toxic patterns in your life. And so I know I've been rambling a bit, and I hope that my thoughts were able to make sense to you, but it's really just something that I wanted to start the discussion on. I would love to hear from you in the comments down below, but it is something that's been on my mind for a while, and it really just comes down to putting yourself on a pedestal and having that superior complex where you think you're better than others. And I think if we dismantle that from religion, we would be able to have a healthier dialogue surrounding it. And so I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please share it with others and give this video a big thumbs up. Like I said, I'm going to have other videos on my linked in the cards above that you can watch after this one. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I would love to have you a part of this family. I post new videos every single week to help you out on your spiritual journeys wherever you're at, and I can't wait to see you all in my next video. I hope you all have a good one. Until then, bye.